Because look at that Masonic temple. You see that? The Masonic symbol? Are you flipping kidding me? Look at this, Masonic. And gosh darn it, we may not be going much further, but what the heck is this? Holy crap, holy. That is completely obnoxious. And inside is this deep Masonic crazy stuff. We weren't able to make it into the Masonic Order's ritual dungeon. One wonders what goes on in there. I'm going to show you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Tonight, unfortunately, I am all by myself because most of my friends are busy with other things, which is obviously very understandable. And but I hope I can entertain you today for the most part and inform you and show you a lot of the good information that I have as a follow-up to last night's video regarding the fatal shooting in Denver that left one person dead and one person arrested now. He's been identified, and we know the name of the perpetrator, what he was doing there, and a lot of really contradictory information as opposed to what we were told by the media at the time. And it's really a lot of eye-opening information when you think about the fact that we were all lied to when we were told that, you know, this person was a bodyguard. And I'm going to show you all of the evidence that I have collected, that I have compiled, and we can go over every single one of them. Tomorrow I will be co-hosting with Red Gaze as well. He was just busy at the moment, but he will be in tomorrow night. And so we can discuss this again and show you some other things that I have prepared for you as well. And I think we're going to start doing this kind of like a weekend type of thing. So definitely stay tuned and let's dive into it together and see what crazy things we find. So first of all, I want to start by saying hello to El Gargo, who, by the way, provided some of the evidence that I'm going to show you tonight. So thank you very much, and welcome to the show as well. Mogwai, yes, that is some weird stuff, man. You would be surprised the kind of craziness that you would notice if you ever go off-roading or if you ever actually pay attention to your surroundings. It's they like to hide things in plain sight, that's for sure. I'm sure that in a lot of states, especially out in the West, you would find lots of things like that. That video was definitely eerie. A lot of those like that I have seen. I could share some more of those. Ken of Subway, thank you for joining us tonight. Polo Patriot, hell, his Greek mythology and his blue Twi'lek women as always. Mogwai Centurio says he didn't even hold a license for being a security guard. Yes, that's some of the things that we're going to see today. We're going to dive into the history of this man. And why I will kind of give you my perspective and also my theory as to what he was doing there, and why this whole thing is so fishy, and why it felt like a setup. 100%. Hello to Tatsunami as well. Michael Tyrone, hello to you as well, and to Wookiee Supremacy and Edwin as well. Thank you all for joining me. Man, I couldn't do this if it wasn't for all of you guys' support and just watching me. And as I kind of restart this show, like I was explaining to a lot of you guys last night on last night's show, the reason why I kind of quit doing it for a while is because YouTube just kept taking our videos down all the time, and there was really no point in continuing to do it if they weren't going to stay up at all. But I think that after us appealing every single one of the videos that they took down, I guess they kind of got the message that we weren't really violating copyrights or things like that, and that they were being unfair. So for the most part, it seems like they're leaving the videos up. So we'll see how long that stays. El Gargo says, I wonder why the Freemasonry have the same symbol like the Carpenters Union. Very interesting stuff indeed. So before we get started, and before I show you guys about the follow up to last night's video regarding the fatal shooting in Denver, I want to address something. I want to address the haters, and I know that they watch, and I know that they also do leave comments, and that's fine. But it's always very amusing to me because usually when they comment on our videos, and I'm pretty certain that they're the ones that flag them and try to take us down any way they can and try to silence us. They always leave comments that completely makes them look like hypocrites, and I'll tell you why. They have these high standards for all of us, how we are all supposed to act, and the things that we're supposed to say and not say, and the things that we're supposed to think and not think. But of course, when they break their own rules, it's the worst thing that can happen to them when they get called out on it. It's not very uncommon for them to use derogatory terms, whether it's racial or homophobic or anything like that, against the people who disagree with them. And I think it is the most, it's the funniest thing. I remember Obama used to call it the circular firing squad, because they cannot even themselves keep up with the ridiculous and insane standards that they put upon us, as their moral code of conduct that they pretend for us all to uphold. And of course, they don't do it themselves. It's impossible. But it is very funny because as soon as you call them out on it, they try to delete their messages and pretend like they never wrote the hate mail that they did, especially when they try to insult somebody's sexuality or somebody's origin or race or things like that, which is ridiculous. I always said the liberals are always going to be the most racist people of them all. Michael Tyrone here says, to be fair, not every state requires it. I live in one that has a pretty lax attitude regarding regulation of a lot of things. Although that might be true, and I don't particularly speaking know what the case might be in Colorado, I can assure you that this person was an activist. And I hope to convince you of that by the end of it, if I present the evidence that I have. That is not the case in Colorado, Mogwai says. They hate you because they want Carla. that might be it. That might be the reason why they hate me so much. But even then, I do my best. I for sure do my best. So let's talk about last night's video, right? Which is still up on YouTube. Surprisingly, I thought that was gonna be taken down as soon as I posted it, as is always the case. Just a quick rundown. There was a food drive set up by Antifa in Denver yesterday, and counter protesters clashed with them, mostly because the organizers of this event were using the food collected supposedly for the homeless as weapons, and they were throwing them at the police. They were throwing cans of food at the cops and things like that. So there was a clash with counter protesters. And a man was killed. He was actually shot in the head while he was caught pepper spraying one of these protesters. And now the big argument there, the thing that everybody was saying, is that the person who shot the counter protesters was actually a bodyguard for the press. Now that was the narrative throughout the whole day yesterday. And that's pretty much what the news, the local news at the time, that was the story that they were running with. Now, that has now been disproven, and now we have more information about the person who committed the murder yesterday. So let me start by sharing my screen here, and it's kind of showing you who we're talking about. So this is the guy here, all right? So his name is Matthew Duluth, and what was the first thing that strikes to you about this picture here? Anybody yet? Anybody caught it? Well, that's right. Yeah, he's wearing a Bernie shirt, and he is at a Democratic event. This person was an activist, and that doesn't necessarily prove anything yet. But you kind of get to start to see the full picture here, right? This person was definitely an activist, and he was there not to protect anybody from the press. He was not hired to do that, and he was not actually on duty at the moment. He was just an activist who was part of the protest, and he point blank shot a man in the head. And I will show you some of the things that I have that kind of put the whole puzzle together, if you will. Here you have this thread: security guards suspected in fatal protest shooting not licensed in Denver. So he was not licensed. The person who he actually killed, his name was Lee Kidner. He was a gentleman of age who was shot yesterday. So like I said, most likely a Democratic activist. And this thing is just, it's extremely weird. Everything that happens seems like a setup in so many different ways. we're going to analyze where this man was prior to the shooting and what happened during, because there are more pictures have actually surfaced that we can take a look at. Yes, he was indeed a Bernie bro. And I'm sure that as the day passed, we're gonna find out more about his online presence and probably find out about what this man thought. But it is very concerning when you think about the fact that a lot of these people who are clearly not all there mentally, I mean, are out there with guns, and that they, are ready to shoot their opponents like that, on point blank and unprovoked. And you're gonna see that there was a scuffle prior to that we didn't get to see on the video, but there's actually pictures of it that we can see what happened. This man, Dolof, was reaching for a gun that the counter protester who was shot had. And so instead of the counter protester shooting him, what he did was he slapped him in the face, and that's when Dolof went ahead and opened fire on him. So very, very concerning stuff. So let's start by watching the following video, which has kind of like a rundown and some images prior to what went down, that we can see Dolof and what he was doing.
Going on back there.
It looks like there's something purple.
Oh. I thought the cops were coming with dogs. No. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It seems like purple stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sort of. People are in the way and such,
Yeah, I don't know who still thinks that he was some kind of security detail. He was definitely part of it. He was there during the flag burning thing, and he was definitely part of the protest, I think. I want to say hello to some of the people who have just joined us. Hello, Red Gaze, my friend. I hope to have you tomorrow night on the show as well, co-hosting, because we got tons of other cool stuff to talk about, and of course Mogwai as well. So again, quick rundown. We have now found out. We have now find out that Matthew Dolof, he was not licensed to be carrying a weapon in the state of Colorado. He was part of the protest, and so that whole media narrative that they went with yesterday about him being part of a security detail for the press is definitely out the window now at this point, for the most part. Now, what really did go down? Now, last night, the best picture that we had was of Dolof at the moment after he fired his weapon. Now, we know that we analyzed, and we actually have a close-up of the gun that we can see that he fired the weapon as the other man, the man who was shot, was pepper spraying him. So, but we don't know what happened prior to it. What we see in the video is, there's this altercation with this other gentleman who's wearing a Black Guns Matter shirt, right? But we see the victim kind of walk out of the frame, and then but the cameras are still focused on the person who's yelling at the counter protest. So we hear the gunshot, we see the man drop dead, but we don't see Dolof, and we don't see what happened prior to that. Now we finally have some pictures that kind of show us what happened during, right? So very simple. What we didn't get to catch on the video is, we have Doloff reaching, as you can see right here, for the gun that this other gentleman had tucked in his jacket, right? So he's reaching for the gun, and as he's doing that, the victim slaps Doloff across the face, making him back off, and probably that's what set off the whole thing. After Doloff was slapped in the face, he pulled his own weapon out and shot him in the head. As the victim again pulled out what looked like bear mace and probably tried to defend himself. But many other witnesses that were on the scene also are saying that the victim was non-confrontational, that after the slap, he was backing away and he was trying to walk away from it and not wanting to cause any more trouble. But of course, Doloff, being the little bitch that he is, after he got slapped, he wanted revenge, and that's why he shot him, in my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think about that, because that's definitely what seemed to have what happened. Yes, definitely a bitch slap. That's most likely what happened. Now, I have yesterday the news were the ones that were going with the whole narrative that Doloff was there as part of the security detail for the press. Now let's listen to how they're backtracking and how they're kind of saying the opposite now. Let's watch it. Let's watch this piece of news and read on it and see what other perspectives I have to share with audio real quick. Let me retry that.
30-year-old Matthew Doloff is being held without bond for investigation of first-degree murder after yesterday's deadly shooting in downtown Denver. Police say Doloff shot and killed a man as opposing demonstrations in Civic Center Park were winding down. Denver television station KUSA reports that Doloff was a contractor providing security for them. The city of Denver says he was not licensed to be a security guard. Jeff Todd has been learning about the victim. Jeff.
Yeah, Kathy, late this afternoon, this memorial has popped up. We talked to one woman who dropped off flowers, and she said she did not know the victim. She just wanted to come and pay her respects. This is where some kind of verbal altercation happened, and after that verbal altercation, mace was sprayed, and that fatal shot was fired.
It only took a few seconds for first responders to reach a man friends say is Lee Keltner, but it wasn't fast enough. Eyewitnesses say the entire altercation was confusing and happened quickly. The suspect, Matthew Doloff, was a hired security guard, but what's still unclear is how he got involved in the altercation and why investigators believe the incident was premeditated. On Facebook, a man identified as Lee's son said, "I can't believe my dad is gone. This will never be right." A woman claiming to be Keltner's mother posted on Facebook that her son was killed for supporting the police. Keltner has roots in Colorado going back many years. He spent time custom making cowboy hats. There are several videos online like this one showing how his craft was more art than anything else.
The cowboy hat is the history of the West.
A business associate said he was an awesome guy, but several years ago he'd given up the cowboy hat game and started going with more leather work and the motorcycle community. Other friends saying they lost someone that they were close with, and they called Keltner a loving father, husband, friend, and grandfather.
An online campaign has already raised a few $1,000s. It says that all that money is going to go towards funeral costs. We're live in Denver tonight. Jeff Todd covering Colorado First.
So there you have it. We have let me click away from this one. You have this so far is still a very controversial case, and yes, it is still very early to make a judgment on as to what happened. But I think that we do have enough pictures and video to kind of figure out what was going on. You know, you saw him getting slapped in the face by the victim prior to the shooting, as Doloff reached for the weapon of the victim. It is not clear if that is the gun that he shot him with. It is still very possible though. And then of course, that would also explain as to why the victim was not defending himself with his gun. If in fact he was actually he was shot with his own weapon, as the perpetrator actually was able to take it away and shoot him with it. So yes, very, very, very strange situation indeed. Apopecho says that Antifa should go to a Russian prison. I agree. I think a Mexican prison would be better in this case. And then strange enough, Getty Images was there to take pictures. Yeah, it just seems like such a setup to me. This whole thing, it just. I think that he went there with the intent of killing someone that day. It's not clear whether he brought his own gun or if he shot this protester with the if he shot him with his own gun or not. But it is clear that this man, who was clearly not well, who was clearly part of the protest, who was clearly there for the flag burning and the whole thing, who was part of Antifa because he was there with them, and who was not licensed to be a security guard, went then with intent of killing a Trump supporter. And that is really what we're going to take a look at right here. This other article breaks it down very, very good. It is by American News. NBC affiliate hired a security guard with far left views and took him to a Trump rally where he shot and killed a Trump supporter. Now, the man who shot and killed a veteran and Trump supporter, Lee Keltner, at a Denver Patriot rally have been revealed to be a longtime leftist who believe that Trump supporters are racist. The man who shot and killed veteran and Trump supporter Lee Keltner at a Denver Patriot rally, which again was the counter rally to what the Antifa people were doing, have been revealed to be a longtime leftist who believe that Trump supporters are racist. The conservative demonstrator was shot and killed by a man hired by an NBC affiliate 9 News as a security guard. Although the Denver Post originally identified the shooter as a Black Lives Matter supporter, the police later insisted that suspect Matthew Doloff was simply a private security guard with no affiliation with Antifa. Now, here is the police department's update on the matter. Matthew Doloff, born in 1990, is being held for investigation of first-degree murder in connection with the shooting that occurred yesterday at 10 West 14th Avenue. This remains an active investigation. Any additional updates will be released as it becomes available. But the new evidence reveals that Doloff is indeed an outspoken leftist and has made social media posts about confronting conservatives in the past. Here's a quote from him and what he said prior. Ran into a Trump supporter with a Trump button on their shirt. Told them I like their I am racist button. They had nothing to say. #fuck Trump. Doloff wrote on Facebook in 2016. Other social media posts reveal similar attitudes, including one captioned FTP, fuck the police, and another that is simply a photo of Trump captioned fuck this guy. Here are the media posts, and you can see them. They're still actually on Twitter, and I am going to share those in a minute. After his social media post revealing a combative attitude towards conservatives surfaced, many are questioning the validity of the claim that Doloff has no affiliation with Antifa. Others simply want to know why a local news affiliate would hire someone with such a worldview as a security guard for a pro-Trump rally. Mike Cernovich says the following. 9 News hired a Trump-hating far left-wing goon, gave him a gun, and brought him to a pro-Trump event. This is terrorism. It definitely does not look good on them. So yeah, make of that what you will. Tim Pool says the Denver security shooter is a vocal Bernie supporter, leftist, and Occupy activist. He doesn't seem to be Antifa associated. Either way, 9 News should have vetted this person and not hire a political tribalist who said left is best to go armed to a counter protest. Yeah, very well said there. And I also want to share with you some of the social media posts that he was sharing. That he has been sharing. This is some of the things that Matthew Doloff has said, right? Of course, you have the FTP here. Utah nurse screams that she's cuffed by a cop for refusing to draw blood on a patient. This is another thing that he did. He was retweeting Occupy Denver. White House press corps ought to just stay home and make shit up for themselves. There you have him again retweeting Occupy Democrats. And then here's what this reads right here. What's that line again? All lives matter, then step the fuck up. Okay. And then, of course, you have this screenshot from an interview that done to Trump by CNN, and he captions it, fuck this guy. So I don't know who still believes that this guy wasn't an activist. Who still believes that this person just happened to be a security guard who saw a threat and neutralized it with his gun. I certainly didn't from the get-go. It seemed very strange, but also at the same time, it just seems like it seems awfully strange that, like many people are pointing out, the fact that a news organization will arm them and send them to a place like that, especially when you have social media posts that are so easily, you can see them. It's not like it's hard to find. You could definitely vet somebody who you hired and understand why this is definitely not the right thing to do. I wanna hear from you guys on the chat. What do you think? What are your thoughts about all this? Was this whole thing a setup? Is this just a lone wolf who just was looking out for the opportunity to kill someone at one of these events, and he just so happened to run into someone that slapped the shit out of him, giving him the perfect excuse to do it? Or was he a security guard hired who actually was not even licensed to be a security guard in his state? He was hired by a news crew and given a gun and pretty much unleashed onto the public like that. I think it's a very, it's a very sick situation, that's for sure. And then we have this post right here by Andrea Flores on Twitter. She says that the Denver Department of Excise and Licenses confirmed that there is no record for an active licensed security guard now or ever for an individual named Matthew Doloff. If he was operating as a security guard, he was in violation of the law. That is crazy, especially when you consider the fact that this man was hired by a news organization. It's really, really distressing. So that's that is what we have so far on this case. I'm sure the more updates will come, but I want to, like I said, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to read what you think about this case. Do you think that Doloff acted within his duties? Do you think that he was actually hired by this news organization who did a very poor job at vetting him, and they just went ahead and just hired whoever claimed to be a security guard and gave him a gun? Or do you think that he was part of the protest and he opened fire on somebody who just slapped the shit out of him? I want to say hello to the people who are on the chat. Daniel John, who says elbow cuff, absolutely. Use punctuation, genius. I don't know who you're talking to, but yeah, I'm sure. And then I'm Mega. Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. Absolutely. So another thing that I wanted to cover today was this article that I happened to run across today. This is very because I remember about 5 to 7 years ago when I first moved here to my state, which up to this point has been pretty much consistently a red state. When we started getting bombarded with, and just pretty much seeing it everywhere, all these people moving from California to here. The mass exodus from California is real. Lots of people are living in droves because, of course, you have many issues like, you have San Francisco and LA who basically have become dumpsters, and places in which people are shitting all over the place and things like that, right? Of course, crime is high and the prices are very high as well. But what is very disconcerting is the fact that these people are taking their politics with them wherever they go and changing states who were historically red into battleground states and, turning them purple, basically. So I ran into this article saying, called How California Expats Are Helping Turn Texas into a Battleground State by Matt Levine. So in summary, pushed by a soaring cost of living, more than 700,000 Californians have moved to the Lone Star since 2008. It's part of the reason historically bright red Texas has turned surprisingly purple in 2020. When Dr. Maisha Taylor saw her Biden-Harris lawn sign was missing from the front yard, she did what most parents would do. She blamed her kids. Taylor and her husband, William, sat their 3 children down to scour through the footage of their home security system. It was like family movie night, with the added intrigue that someone in the audience might be guilty of campaign violation. We are watching and we're watching, and then we see the car come up and turn on our street and then stop, said Taylor. And we're like, wait, why are they stopping in front of our house? It is nighttime and the security camera is pretty far away. But even though the separator filter, you can parse pretty clear what's happening. The silhouette of a John or Jane Doe gets out of the passenger seat, jumps on the Taylor property retaining wall, snatches the Biden-Harris sign, and smuggles it into their gateway car. So she finishes by saying, I'm from California, said Taylor, who was born in Inglewood and went to medical school at the University of Southern California. Never would I have ever thought that Trump would have won. I'm thinking, who voted for this guy? Then I moved here and I realized who voted for this guy. You know what pisses me off? First of all, leftists do this all the fucking time, all right? I have seen it. There's many videos. There's plenty of evidence out there of these people doing the same shit that they're accusing others of doing. And number 2, if you are fleeing California because of how awful the Democratic Party has fucking turned it into, why are you bringing your politics with you? You know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense that whatever it is that you're escaping from, you know, is you are willing to bring it someplace else. You know, so yeah, very, very frightening. I see more and more people moving into my state from California. We remain to see. I mean, this is how we got fucking stuck with Christian cinema, you know, because of all the expats from California moving here. And so finally, to finish off, I wanted to finish off with a little bit of comedy. I told you I was going to keep it short and sweet today. You know, we have all consistently said that if somehow Joe Biden happens to win this election, it's definitely because he cheated, right? There's going to be no question about that. However, it's never more apparent as to when you compare Trump rallies with Joe Biden, you know, events, because they're day and night. You know, you have massive turnout for all the Trump rallies and for all the Trump events, and very few people to how we're about to see 0 people for Biden. It's really hilarious. Let's take a look at this and tell me what you think. Leave your laughter in the comment section.
There's really not much to see, and I'll step out of the way, but it's kind of boring out here. So it's not your typical presidential campaign event. We don't see people rallying outside. We don't see signs or really much of what's going on. And I'm told by one of the Biden staffers, local staffers, is that they kind of kept the details about the visit as far as the timing and the exact locations. And pretty much all the people that we saw enter into the parking lot about 45 minutes ago were with the Biden-Harris campaign and the poll reporters. So you would expect to see, I mean, this is a pretty big event for the two of them to be campaigning together for the first time since the Democratic National Convention. Here in Arizona, we've established, our state has established itself as a battleground state. And so this is technically a big event, but not a lot of fanfare. So we're getting information about what's going on with these meetings from our national correspondent pool reporters, but from out here, you really can't tell anything much is going on. Biden-Harris campaign not releasing a lot of details about where these events are taking place and exactly when. Like I said, you know, this is a huge event politically, but you can't tell by the outside of the Heard Museum. There's really not a lot going on here.
Ms. McCain spoke at the virtual Democratic National Convention, recalling the relationship Biden and John McCain formed during their Senate careers. She then formally endorsed Biden for president last month, praising his, quote, character and integrity.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't, you know, the people are not enthusiastic about this guy. Not even his own base is excited for him, or for his running mate, really, for that matter. But you know what? If he does somehow end up winning, we will have another puppet, and we will have somebody who will really change how America looks for forever. So Daniel John says, though, I wouldn't underestimate a lot more on the left are not into going out for COVID-19 reasons. That is, although that is true, and you still have a lot of voters who are voting by mail and things like that, voting early. And I believe that the voting early started in Arizona about a week ago or so. So it is possible, but at the same time, wherever you go, at least you're in my state or in my city, you couldn't find a single fucking Biden Harris sign anywhere. There's a reason for it. People are not very enthusiastic about voting for him, and the only reason why the people in the left are voting for him is because he's not Trump, and that is an awful premise. That is ridiculous. But that's going to be a conversation for another time for sure. I definitely appreciate everyone who tuned in, and everyone who commented and everyone who participated. Tomorrow when we do the show again, I will have my co-host Red hopefully here as well, and we're going to discuss some more of the craziness that's going on in the world. Thank you for watching, everyone. Good night.